The next thing we want to add to our pizza will be another topping. So the other topping that we have over here in our library is our pepperoni ping. We're going to go ahead and drag an instance of him to the stage. He's really big, so we're going to use our free transform tool and holding down the shift key and make him a better size to fit onto our pizza. Now I'd like to use the spray can tool to spray those pepperonis onto my pizza. So I'm going to need him to be a movie clip. So I'm going to right click him, or F8, convert to symbol, and name him pepperoni with a capital letter. Now I can delete that instance from my stage. He's saved over here in my library. I'll choose my spray brush tool, or my spray can tool here. I'll go over to the properties of my spray brush tool, and I will choose my pepperoni movie clip to be sprayed onto my pizza. Make sure that you're in a pepperoni layer. So I might have skipped that step, but make sure you make a layer that says pepperoni on it. That way you're not messing with any of your other ingredients or things. You can lock those other layers. Remember, the new layer button is down here on the left. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and spray my pepperonis on, and it looks like those pepperonis are too much. So I'm going to choose my spray brush tool again, and we're going to change the width and height to a little bit smaller. Alright, so I'm just going to click once. I don't want too many pepperonis on there. So I just didn't hold down the left mouse button. I just clicked a couple of times to add some pepperonis. So that way it doesn't get too many. And then I'm going to use my selection tool, or since I'm on my own layer, I can do a Command A or Control A, select all those pepperonis. And then I'm going to do a Control G or Command G on a Mac and group them all together. Notice that the object line goes around the whole group now. I now want to convert this to a movie clip symbol. So I'll F8 or right click and say convert to symbol. And I'm going to name it pepperonis with an S. And I can see that he's over here in my library now as pepperonis. And now I'm going to double click on my pepperonis to get to his internal timeline. Remember to always pay attention here on the top to make sure which timeline you're in. And I'd like to animate him in his internal timeline, so this is where I need to make him his inner pepperoni. So I'll right click him again, say convert to symbol, and I'm going to call him inner pepperonis. Now that he's a movie clip symbol in his inner timeline, I can add a tween. So I'll right click, say create motion tween. There's his motion tween. On his first frame, so move the playhead to the first frame, I want him to be off the stage. And then about the last frame, I want him to go ahead and fly into the pizza. Remember that you can change your tween, and you could click on your tween and look at his properties and add a rotate if you wanted to add a rotate. So that way he rotates and flies into your pizza with a rotation. Alright, so now we need to tell him to stop on that first frame. So do you guys remember how we did that? We added a labels layer. This is our labels layer. This is our actions layer. So remember, we went to the labels layer, and in that second frame we hit the F6 key, or we inserted a blank keyframe. We clicked on that keyframe itself and looked at its properties and named that keyframe. Go. Now up here in our actions layer, I'm going to write stop, parenthesis, parenthesis, semicolon, so that he'll stop on that first frame. And then on the very last frame, I also want him to stop. So remember to insert a blank keyframe here on the last frame. You only can insert ActionScript code on keyframes. So we'll insert that blank keyframe and then add a stop command. So he'll stop here. He'll wait for us to call him in the code. Tell him to go. He'll play. And when he gets to the end, he'll stop again. All right, our pepperonis are pretty much set up. Let's go back to scene 1. Now we're going to have to add some code to him. Or actually, we need to add a button so that we can add code to the button to tell our pepperonis to fly in. You might remember that we need to give these pepperonis an instance name so that in our code we can call upon them. So if you click on your pepperonis in scene 1, you can see his properties over here, and we can give him an instance name of pepperonis with a lowercase p. Alright, so let's make our button. Hopefully you remember how to make a button. We took our pepperoni ping. Remember, we didn't take the pepperoni movie clip, or else it would change our pepperonis movie clip. So we'll take an instance of the pepperoni ping and we'll drag it to the stage. It's too large, so we'll use our free transform tool to make him a little bit smaller. We'll set him over here on the table. Now we need to make him a symbol, movie clip symbol, so that we can add some code to him. So I'm going to convert to symbol and call him pepperoni button. Now I can add some code to him. I'm going to need to give him an instance name. So if I click on my pepperoni button and look at his properties, I need to give him an instance name so that I can call him in my code. I'm going to give him the instance name pepperoni button with a lowercase p. Now I could go to code snippets again and add it through code snippets. But since it's the same exact code with just a couple of name changes, I'm going to go ahead and select that code in my actions. Remember to click on your actions layer in your actions frame. Open up your actions pane, select that code, hit Control-C, or copy it, and Control-V and paste it. And then what I'll do is I'll change this name to pepperoni button now. We can't have two functions with the same name, so I'm going to add a number 2 at the end here so that these two match. And then last but not least, I'm going to change this instance name to pepperonis, not mushrooms. On my label, I still named my label Go inside my pepperonis timeline. So let's go ahead and test this. So here's our pepperoni button. We click on the pepperoni button, our pepperonis are added. We click on our mushrooms are added.